Yeah, finally, I want to thank the group for bringing up the idea of Prometheus and also Gothic, because it makes my explanation a lot easier. Let me finish this and I'll give you a break. I know that the summary here can be really heavy. Okay, so here we need to be aware that this novel is written in the Romantic age, and then there are some dominant beliefs or ideals which are prevalent in that society. For instance, this idea of the romantic hero. Usually, the male poets, they tend to celebrate the idea of the romantic hero, starting with maybe Wordsworth, William Blake, the poet of The Sick Rose that you have read, okay, to Byron, to Coleridge, etc. And there was basically three types of romantic hero. Okay, the very sinister one, the evil one, and in the Gothic, the hero villain. Okay, that's one type of romantic hero. And then the Byronic hero, the one who breaks social constraints, who can be a womanizer, but who also has his own ideals about society, who despises social conventions for a reason, etc. That's Byronic hero. And then Promethean hero, the one to want to break the social boundaries and pursue the divine or the surreal, okay, and that's or the immortal, and that's the Promethean hero. And here we have, like what the group pointed out, in Frankenstein, the Promethean hero. But then, in a way, they are both also the Gothic hero. They are also the Gothic hero in a sense that they have the violent temperament in them too. Okay, and they are aware that just as they are isolated, they are also degraded as human beings. Okay, so I guess if we see Frankenstein and the monster, if Frankenstein is both Promethean hero and Gothic hero, then the monster is, the Gothic hero who is also romantic because of his appreciation of nature, his ability to be close to nature, to be sensitive about nature, etc. Okay, so in that sense, we can say that there is no way for them to stay in peace. Because of the romantic confirmation of passion, romantic passion, romantic confirmation of individualism, etc. Within this ideology, these two romantic heroes, they can be re-educated to know their own guilt. Okay, but it doesn't seem that Mary Shelley is able to give them a solution. Because of the overall confirmation of romantic hero of that time. Once we see that this is all ideological, in the sense that, Mary Shelley lives in that society, she's able to criticize romantic hero, but she's not able to offer a solution, because she's one of her society. Then maybe you can offer your own solutions to the romantic hero. Okay, but I'm not sure about you. When I was in college, the 19th century lit was the period that I loved the best. I remember when I was an English major, we studied Ulysses. We studied Iliad, the Bible, Greek mythology, Divine Comedy. In our freshman year, we studied Renaissance and the 17th and 18th century in the sophomore year, and we studied 19th century in the junior year. And that's when I feel that I moved from hell to purgatory and to heaven. 我就讲一下哈，就是我不知道你们现在对于浪漫时期怎么样。我个人是，可能是我大学经验哈，我个人非常喜欢浪漫主义。那我大一的时候，我觉得我是在 in hell。然后大二的时候，我觉得我是在炼狱 （purgatory）。大三的时候 ，I'm back to heaven OK， 然后那个时候是正好是齐邦媛老师教我们，那他就非常的神圣，就他不是像现在老师这样会跟大家互动哈，他就是很 respectable 这样跟我们讲他对浪漫诗的看法等等等等哈。But she's very although she's kind of remote, but she's very clear. She was very clear about her interpretation of romantic poetry, and that's why. And also, I being a college student, I felt that temperamentally I was able to appreciate romantic poetry the best. Okay, I don't know about you. You know, I feel that people of my generation were appreciative of passion, maybe a lot more than you of your generation. I'm not sure. Okay, so when I talk about romantic hero, I'm critical of it, but then deep down, I think that I'm very sympathetic. You know, I could even see some romantic heroes from my college classmates. You know, people who are reckless, who are idealistic, but a little bit irresponsible, and not being able to shoulder their responsibilities or predict what will happen after their ambition and idealism, etc., etc. You know, I think that I saw a lot of that examples also of people of my friends in college. Okay, I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure if you also have your own heroism, romanticism, passion, etc., etc. Okay, so in other words, I think that ultimately Shelley is not able to give a solution, give an alternative to this concentric circle. You know, it seems that ultimately she is bound to confirm the center of the romanticism. Okay, Wharton pales by comparison. Wharton is lovable, but she's not a hero. You know, so he pales by comparison. So maybe you can offer your own alternative because Mary Shelley is not able to give hers. Okay, so that's my question to you all. Okay, whether you have your own alternatives to this way of dealing with ideals, this way of pursuing knowledge. Yeah. Okay, so there's no peace. Endless stories follow after Frankenstein. You know, I remember in the first class I gave you a few examples in the area of sci-fi film, 就是科幻电影, like Island and artificial intelligence, 很多 Blade Runner, etc., etc. Okay, so all of these sci-fi films, like Frankenstein, ask these questions. You know, can we be responsible for our own scientific creations? You know, when we have cyborg, when part of us become computerized, you know, 实际上你的脑袋在哪里哈？我现在都很不知道，就是在这里还是在电脑里面哈？其实很难讲。Okay, so can we really make a distinction between the human and the non-human, the human and the so-called animalistic? 那可能你吃了什么基因富，那基因富里面就是那个基因改造食物。可能有老鼠的基因，可能有什么什么的基因，各种基因可能都有哈。然后你也有假牙。Okay, so many parts of us may not be human really. Okay, and then how do we define humanity? You know, in our society. Okay, and then can man play the role of God or mother? I think that's another question. 可是像这个问题哈，其实不是答案就是 no 哦，不是答案就是 no 哦。就是像比如说我们讲 sci-fi 这个领域哈，有一些 sci-fi 它处理的那个问题真的很有趣。比如说，是不是我们要让男人来生产看看？好，真的有 sci-fi 这样处理，或是不是我们能够有一个世界，就完全不要有不要有男性，就女生自己生产就好了。Okay, sci-fi has different kinds of rendering of this question. You know, whether men can be mothers. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the last issue about feminist Gothic. Let me take a break. Let's take a break. I think this ought to have it. After the break, I'll finish the last issue, and then I'll give you some more questions for the discussion we'll have next time. Background image. Probably not, right? It's not very clear. Because I use the the double frame, and the central one is not really clear. If I could separate the two images, I would have shown it to you. Okay. The very background here is our campus. Yeah, and then in the middle we have I have an avalanche, 就是一个雪崩的 image in the middle. Okay, so I hope this discussion can indeed bring Frankenstein closer to you. Okay, if not, by showing you the campus, right? Okay, if not, then you should do it yourself next time. Okay. Don't see the novel as just something graphic, something terrifying. You know, I think that there are a lot of issues which are relevant to us. Okay, I hope you can find out about them. Okay, so far we have talked about the novel structure, the presentation of the marginalized figures like women and the others. The issue of boundary crossing and how there are different kinds of boundaries we can look at. The romantic hero as modern Prometheus or as Gothic villain, okay, and their ideal and their responsibility. Also, just now we talked about how this story is endless because, some people will call Frankenstein as, they'll call Mary Shelley as the mother of sci-fi. And Frankenstein as the first sci-fi. Of course, it's not. I'm not sure. I guess it's the first sci-fi. All the later stories bear some resonances with Frankenstein. Yeah. And looking at Frankenstein as a Gothic, I think that I want to call it a feminist Gothic. Maybe we can also call it a feminist sci-fi. Because I think that Mary Shelley, at her age of 19, although she could be clumsy in her narrative skills, with the use of a lot of letters, I think that she's very subtle in her way of presenting the scientific ambition or the idea of the romantic hero, and he shows how this ambition, can happen on different levels. On the political level, which has to do with contemporary historical events like the French Revolution, the revolution in the United States, etc. Okay, but then it can also happen on the psychological level, as a way of dealing with what is repressed, what is the unconscious. Okay, and the Gothic fiction gets popular in the 18th century, and the popularity of Gothic fiction itself is something phenomenal because I know you haven't read that much of the neoclassical works, but Rhyme and Reason is one. No, sorry, Sound and Sense. The essay on criticism, the passage you have from essay on criticism, which is an example of heroic couplet, etc., etc., and then the poet argues that there should be a balance between the sound and sense, etc., a correspondence between the two, etc. I think that's an example of the emphasis on rationality, emphasis on moderation, rationality, and propriety in the age of enlightenment. But the overemphasis on enlightenment or rationality can lead to a lot of setting of rules, and that makes human society more rigid or more constraining. And it is the social constraints that romantic poets want to break open. And they, I think the seeds can be found, like the seeds of revolution, the seeds of the disagreement with social constraints and rational control can be found in Gothic fiction. Okay, so Gothic fiction can be seen as a kind of reaction against enlightenment in itself, because with all the dramatic plot, it basically deals with some hidden emotions, some repressed forces in human society. Okay, so that's an explanation of why Gothic fiction was popular in the 18th century, and then why it is picked up by a lot of novelists of the 19th century. Not only Frankenstein, Wuthering Heights, 咆哮山庄 is another novel which is also a Gothic fiction. Okay, and you have A Rose for Emily, and that is another Gothic too. Okay, so Mary Shelley calls at the end of her prologue. Yeah, at the end of her introduction, she says, this is page 10. This introduction she wrote in 1831, and that's after the death of Shelley. And she owes the whole book. The book by then has become very popular and famous, but she owes the whole book to Shelley's encouragement and his support. And here, the second to last paragraph. And now once again, I bid my hideous progeny go forth and prosper. I have an affection for it, for it was the offspring of happy days, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Mary Shelley calls her novel Hideous Progeny. So in a way, Frankenstein is her baby. Just like monster, the monster is the character Frankenstein's child. Then this novel is Mary Shelley's child. Okay, and she knows that this feminist Gothic will have endless influence later on. Okay, so she says that it is both a hideous progeny, but then it will prosper. It will prosper. Okay, and I think that this Gothic fiction is feminist because, as I said over and over again, it criticizes male creation and exposes its deepest fear, and that is the monstrous female. Okay, in other words, there are two sides of the same thing. One is men's wanting to take the role of mother, and the other is they're always afraid of what will come out of female body. Okay, and so if the monster is terrifying already, the female monster is unbearable, and that's why the female monster has to be killed even before it is created. Okay, so I think that Mary Shelley is very clever and profound in her way of criticizing romantic hero, male creation, and man's deepest fear of women. Okay. On the other hand, I think she exposes misogyny, 就是 discrimination against women. Okay, of her society. And also in the feminist Gothic, in Gothic fiction, in Gothic fiction, even like A Rose for Emily, we see women presented as evil and or weak. Okay, but here, because the female characters, they are predominantly weak but kind. Okay, then they become really a sharp contrast to the male egoist or the male egotist. Okay, so I think it is with these two aspects. On the one hand, these women, they are so kind, so angelic, but then so sacrificed by men. Okay, and then on the other hand, we see men moaning over their own sufferings. Then you find the contrast to be really obvious. Okay, and it's really a criticism on men, but not of women. Yeah. And that's why I think that it is a feminist Gothic. Okay, so here, this is just to remind you of what she said about her dream. It all started with a nightmare on Mary Shelley's part. Okay, and in this nightmare, she has a pair student, kneeling beside the thing he put together. So this pale student definitely is a guy, is a man, okay, and engaged in a kind of hideous creation. So it is this archetypal image she has in mind, that starts the whole novel. And I think that it is also the target of her main criticism, and that is a male creation. Okay. Okay. Yes. This is a biographical background, just for your reference. How Shelley, at the time of her writing, is preoccupied by different kinds of deaths. Death of her mother, who died of childbirth. Okay, and also death of her own baby. Death of Harriet, who is Shelley's first wife. Well, actually, Harriet commits suicide. Okay, and that make the couple, Mary Shelley and Shelley, very guilty. Okay, so these references can, in a way, help you understand how this male creation is condensed with different meanings. Okay, and she herself is not really completely exempt from the sense of guilt. Because she leads to the death of her mother. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. All of my conclusion. Do you have any questions?